Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. Trust you and yours are well, and you're loving yourself and others like always. Do you know that black men are behind the phone right now, the cell phone in your hand right now? Do you know? When you talk about the melanated people, what comes to mind is people who are not well to do, communities that are full of broken homes, broken mothers and children, people that do not know anything about technology. They are so down to earth that a white figure had to come and save them from everything. History wouldn't just tell you that most of the things you use in your houses, most of the technologies you have seated in your home today, that you think a white man, because there's this notion that a white man is always number one. A white man is always excellent. A white man is always a creator. A white man is always the one who did this, who did that. Then when it comes to the black people, we're always the last. I hope you get that notion. This is what have been growing in our families, in our homes, that we can't do nothing, but we have to wait for someone of another color other than us to come and help. So I'm going to take you through the black men who made cell phones possible. All right. And there are lots of explanation that you're going to come across. And you will see that when we keep saying that civilization started from our cable land, it's not just by saying it. When we say that they came and learned from Kemet, we are not just saying it. And this knowledge is not gone. This knowledge is seated. There's just something I say, it's like there's something they have done over the melanated people. They did something. But right now, that thing they did is falling off. Alright? To create is in our gene. Because we are closer even to the creator. I don't know how you understand this. Remember Maxwell Chikumbutsu, the Zimbabwean who make televisions that do not use electricity, helicopters that use what have you to power them, and some of the things that he invented. Now, this is a man who had never been to the four walls of classroom to go study science, to go study physics. He left school at a tender age, I think while he was 14 or so, thereabout, or 13, because of the stage of poverty of his family. So he had to start doing one or two things to make ends meet, and he had younger ones. And his inspiration was just there. It comes to him. He joined one wire, two wire together, and he produces something, and he's like, oh wow. But then the thing is, they do not want to allow him to go on with his work, because it's like they will tell you, oh, what he does is against the laws of physics, he can't do this. And I told you when I was covering his story, I said the painful thing is that even the melanated people do not even trust that they have powers, they have knowledge like this. So there are lots of them that come to him and tell him that what he does is fake to his face. And then they tell the other white one that his own is good because he's a white person. Your own brother will do it before your eyes. This is it. Televisions was powered without electricity. I think I also covered the story where we discuss about energy in space. They don't want us to know. There's energy in space that powers a lot of things. But they tell you, you have to do this, you have to. They don't. They lose. See, there's a lot of secrets in this world that we are deprived of, sorry. And if we do not want to ask questions, we will keep living in the dark. They know the power that is in us as a melanated being. They know the abilities that we have. And that's why a lot of the things were deliberately deprived. You get the point? So that we don't get hold of what we should get hold of as a people.
With a one-on-one interview with one of the engineers who's responsible for revolutionizing the internet.
Well, Dr. Thomas Mensah worked along with three other men, names you should know: Bob Moore, Don Keck and Peter Schultz to invent a laser fiber optic system back in the 1980s. They had no idea how it would change our way of life.
Without these four guys, the internet won't work because we invented a laser-based fiber optic system that allows anybody to send a picture to somebody else's cell phone. Without that invention, you cannot send a tweet, you cannot send an Instagram pictures, no Facebook. So we let Facebook, Google, and all those things happen. Because before we did it, everything was using copper. You would stand in front of an ATM machine for about 8 hours. But now you go in and get things quickly because of the invention of fiber optics.
During that time, how did you even think of this?
Well, I had come out of MIT as a chemical engineer, and I was hired to solve a problem because they couldn't take the invention out of the laboratory. And within 6 months, I've solved the problem and made it feasible so that fiber optics could be cheap and it could replace copper wires throughout America.
Did you ever think we would live in a society now where we would all be walking around with computers and sharing this information?
No, it
never
dawned upon us. Because right now, in your pocket, you have a computer that is more powerful than the computer that designed the Apollo rocket. So you can get all the information in the world on this computer. But the only way you can send anything, send a cell phone to somebody else's cell phone, is through the fiber optic system we created.
Few of us can imagine life without our cell phone. But all of this would not have happened without the remarkable advances in wireless technology made by pioneers such as Jesse Russell, an internationally known inventor who graduated from Tennessee State.
The beauty of historical black colleges for me, just talking to me personally at a personal level, is that what they did for me, they gave me the nurturing and the freedom to challenge. They didn't shut me down. And the teachers were more nurturing, or the professors were more nurturing, right? And what they did was they gave you a chance to express who you really were. If you're sitting in an SBCU and say, as I did in 1972, when I said, well, I want to work at Bell Laboratories, right? I ended up at Bell Laboratories, and in 1980, I was selected as one of the most outstanding engineers in America under the age of 32. Coming from a very poor environment, single family, 10 brothers and sisters, at least 9 brothers and sisters, right? Out of Nashville, Tennessee. I never will forget once I won that award I was telling you about earlier, I didn't know anything about cellular radio. Never heard of it. It was in our organization. But right after they broke up the Bell system, the technology that nobody wanted was the cellular radio system. You know, and that they had tried to send it to the telephone companies, right? And then they sent it back to AT&T, right? So we had this sort of displaced group of people, right? I never forget the day my boss, his name was Jess Turner, he said, Jesse, I know you don't want this job, right, to hit the cellular radio group, but I believe that the future of communications will be deeply rooted around this concept of cellular radio. And I never will forget the first day I was on the job. I called the meeting of all the managers and so they were all white. I was the only black guy, right? And I was saying, well, what's the problem, right? Why? Because they were losing so much money, it was pathetic. They were just losing money like you wouldn't believe. You know, they said, the problem is that we could only make money when people are in the cars and the phone rings and they answer it. If they don't answer, it goes, and so most of the time people are not in the cars, right? And so what I said was, well, that seems like an easy problem to solve, right? Why don't we just take the phone out of the car and just put it on the people? And I said, I guarantee you, if you put the phone on the people, I was thinking about just making money, right? So I said, I guarantee you, if you put the phone on the people, when it rings, they'll grab the phone. And I said, every time they grab the phone, we'll make $1, right? You know, right? You can tell a brother coming from the street, right? It's like selling stuff, right? So I said, every time they hit the phone, right, we'll make $1, man. And I said that we could turn the business around. At the time, I didn't know that the phones looked like the ones and they had these big bodies, and so y'all look like you about it, right? And so they were very nice, and they didn't say, look, it was kind of stupid for you to think that we could actually put these kind of phones on people, right? So they said that, no, the problem is there are more people than there are cars, and we had designed this for cars, and so there's not enough spectrum to allow us to put that many people. That's why you can't do that, right? Then I said, oh, that's what your problem is. But they didn't know I was probably one of the leading authorities in digital signal processing. Because that's how I'd gotten the award before, but they didn't know that, right? So what I said was, oh, that's a simple problem to solve. What we'll do is that we'll completely digitize the speech. We'll substantially reduce the amount of bandwidth required on a per user basis. And I described to them how you could do that, by what modulation schemes you would use and so forth. Then I said, if you do the math on that, and I can show you how we do that, that you could get 4 times the number of people in the same amount of spectrum. And it took us from like 1984 to 88, and we built the first digital cellular system any place in the world. And we took that business from like about $100 million business to $5 billion, simply because I had so much self-confidence, right, that I was able to challenge the status quo. In the midst of all the stereotypes about African Americans, in the midst of an all-white group, that I had enough self-confidence to say what I believed, right, that could be done.
Mr. Russell's innovations have continued with his own company, Inc. Networks, and is developing telecommunications for the future.
So in the future, people will not just making voice calls or doing text messaging or data. They actually will be doing video calls like this as they walk around, not just between 2 people, but between groups of people.
Your Majesties, that was so touching, and I hope you picked something from it. Do not believe the narrative that they say that nothing good comes out of the melanated being. That's not true, because we were the ones who had ruled. We are the ones who had created, who had invented, who have given the idea of how science should be like. Now it's left for you what you believe in. If you still want to believe that you as a black man, as a black woman, have nothing good in you, that's your business. If you want to believe that technologies, everything about life that our ancestors taught them because they came down to Al-Kebulan to study, if you do not want to believe that, that's your business. If you're African that you still want to idolize and worship the white man, that's your business. In this age and time, that's your business. But the truth will always prevail. The truth will always come out. Remember, it is the power you give them that makes them powerful. They are useless without the power and consciousness you divert to them. This is the truth. The moment we begin to divert our consciousness and powers to our own melanated kings and queens that are striving for something, what is there that we will not be able to achieve? Leave your comment and thought there at the section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive, always, Your Majesties. Bye for now.